This is the Undefeated Sports Network. Sport Court, and court is in session.
I mean, it's the playoffs. Every guy on this team is a competitor.
So 7-game series, first 1-4. It's 1-1 right now.
DeRozan to the rim!
Oh! The marvelous DeRozan!
Big shot!
Oh! There's 5 Carusos out there, Bulls Nation! Bam! Nikola Vucevic.
The Bulls are headed back to Chicago after stealing home court.
All right. Well. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Sport Court. I am your host, Angelo Ace Camacho, and you might recognize my guest tonight, Fat Mike Chicago. How you doing, Mike?
Good. This big ugly mug of mine. Yeah, you can recognize it every once in a while.
That's right. I mean, for those of you that don't know, Mike and I, we have a long history. We were partners at one point, and it's nice to have you on. We're gonna talk. I was gonna get into like Cubs and Bears and all that kind of stuff, but in reality, man, like the big news tonight is Bulls-Bucks Game 3. You know,
right.
and I'm surprised they pulled it out Game 2. I know that I was kind of outrageous on Twitter during the game. I have a problem with getting pissed off, deleting a tweet, then tweeting again, deleting a tweet. It's outrageous. What do you think of Game 2?
Honestly, dude, I thought it was awesome. I mean, it was such a back and forth game. Bulls came out with a lucky win, in my opinion. But it's going to be a tough series, man. Everybody knows how I feel about the Bucks. I like the Bucks because they're not that star-studded by a cast core group of guys. I like that they built it up from the ground floor and did what they did. The Bulls are in that same category. Obviously, I'm pulling for the Bulls, but I think they snuck one away. And if they could do that again, if they could play Haka Giannis, would be awesome. I mean, that's what they got to do almost.
Like my thought process going into those games, man, is like, where the Bucks kill you is when Giannis drives and then dishes for the 3, right? And then the guys, they got just some snipers out there at the 3-point. I'd let Giannis keep fucking driving to the lane. Give him those 2s instead of those 3s. I'm not saying give him wide open, obviously contest him, but I feel like the Bulls get in a lot of trouble when they drop, 1 or 2 guys extra to help, and then you leave that wide open 3-point shooter. Game 2, they came out fast, 9 points, I believe. The opposite of Game 1. Game 1 was close. I felt that Game 1 could have kind of gone either way. Something with this Bucks.
They made it a game. They made it a game late,
absolutely.
Which was awesome. I mean, I was sitting there watching, flipping back and forth between that and baseball, and they made it a game. I mean, that was something that I wasn't expecting. And then if it kind of switched my mind, I'm just like, well, if they win Game 2, look out here. You may have a little bit of a series on your hand, which is interesting to say the least.
Think about how crazy the United Center is going to be tonight, right? Like the last real meaningful game where people thought the Bulls had a chance was probably the Derrick Rose Bulls.
It has to be.
Right.
And nobody took this last regime of Bulls seriously at all. So
Rajon Rondo and Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, come on. Those guys were 900 years old.
Right.
Living their walkers right next to them,
That's right. And then Rondo gets
rascal,
hurt. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, then Rondo got hurt, and that was kind of the end. Once he went down, it was like, okay, nobody's going to be able to fill that spot. Game 2, throughout the whole game, I felt like, okay, the Bulls are in a good spot, but we know that the Bucks are going to come out after halftime and they're going to be coming swinging. They're going to punch the Bulls in the mouth. Can the Bulls respond? And I thought, unlike Game 1, that the Bulls did a good job of, okay, the Bucks went on a little run. DeMar's going to score. because they kind of get themselves in that situation where when another team is kind of snowballing on top of them, they don't have the ability to hit that shot to kind of stop the bleeding. I thought game 2 they did a really good job with that. The defense has surprised me the most. What's kind of surprised you the most about the Bulls so far?
Patrick Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, from coming off that injury and playing as good as he's been playing unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. Game 1 and 2, game 2, I like what he's doing against whoever he's defending at that point. It's Giannis mostly, but he branches off and he plays the ball a lot, and it's really nice to see. And he's so good. He's so good. People don't realize how good he is. He's still, I think he's still not 21 yet, I don't think, right? He's still
no,
like
I think he's 20.
Like he's so good
right now this year.
He's so good.
Yeah,
I like Patrick Williams so much. And honestly, I mean, as much as I've been ripping him apart all year is Nikola Vucevic. I have been ripping him to shreds. And game 2, he really stepped it up, and I was really happy to see that. But they got to play together. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They have to play Bulls basketball. Billy Donovan has his team playing on all cylinders right now, especially after game 2. Now the momentum is back at home. Steal game 3 tonight, and then shit gets real. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you could steal
if the
game
Bulls,
3 tonight, shit
absolutely.
gets
The
real.
Bulls pull game 3 out, then you're kind of looking at this. Okay, well, they pulled game 3. Why can't they get game 4 at that point? And I know we're kind of jumping the gun. Giannis is arguably the best player in the NBA.
He is
right
the
now.
best player in the NBA.
Yeah, I know. I heard
you and I argued about this all year last year.
We did. I always thought that he was going to choke in the playoffs.
No.
And he
Fucking
definitely
Giannis
did not choke.
Unbelievable, dude. He is so good. And this is something I've been saying too. I have never seen. I mean, this is me going back to obviously I grew up in the Jordan era. You know what I mean? Watching MJ and watching guys like Anthony Hardaway and watching guys like Shaq and Kobe and Allen Iverson. I have never seen somebody who has the stronger first two steps than Giannis.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Those first 2 steps, he's just blowing through you or by you, and he's at the rim. Like it's unbelievable.
For a dude his size, it is insane how well he moves without the ball, but then also with the ball. Like the guy can literally take the ball full court, burn past you, and score. And it's like, okay, so you remember how when Golden State was starting to come up, everybody switched to okay, well, we need to be 3-point snipers in the NBA. That's the way the league is going. Right. But now the league, I feel like, is changing a little bit. You look at the Sixers with Embiid, you got the Nuggets with
Jokic,
the Joker, the Bucks obviously with Giannis. There's those big guys who are versatile. They can stretch the floor, and that's kind of where. Yeah, I mean, Durant.
When did you ever think that we were going to see a seven footer that can hit threes like Durant does?
Right.
You know what I mean?
The dude's a goofy looking guy. Needs to do something about that hair.
He is goofy looking.
He's got this spotty ass hair, man. He needs to get Rogaine or something to sponsor his hair.
I know my buddy and I have I forget what the bet is, but we're gonna have to the loser of the bet has to paint their hair like Carlos Boozer.
Oh my god, dude, that was so ridiculous. It was just jet black. The hair meshed right into the beard. Yeah. Get it, Joe. Get it, Joe. I'll tell you what, though, that Bulls team was one of my favorite Bulls teams to watch.
They're fun to watch, yeah.
Yeah, Joakim Noah, he was my guy.
And, the thing I want to say about the Bulls, too, man, is that we all know what happened in this offseason. Obviously, last year, they go out, they fire Gar, they fire Pax, they come back out, they get Billy Donovan, and it's so much fun to watch. They go out and trade for Vucevic. They get some more help. They go out and get DeRozan. And it's okay, all right. And I had a bet on these guys that they were going to win 53 games. I had a bet. If they would have pulled through, man, I would have netted a bunch of money.
And that's the thing is, they were really
they got hurt at the wrong time.
Yeah. And then they you could tell towards the end of the season, they just ran out of gas, man.
Yeah.
And I think, though, as much as it sucked because they fell in the standings, I do think that it gave DeRozan some time to, not have to go as hard because they were already falling. My thing for game 3 is obviously Chris Middleton. He's injured. How big of a blow do you think that is for the Bucks?
I think that's a huge blow. That's a huge blow for the Bucks. That guy hits threes like nobody's business.
Yeah.
He's always one of those guys. But then don't count out Drew Holiday either. Drew Holiday is a pain in the ass. We all know what he did last year in the playoffs. He was sneaky good the entire playoffs. Made himself really a big name for himself last year. Him and Chris Middleton in last year's playoffs. But Chris Middleton not being in tonight, it is a blow for the Bucks. And I think the Bulls can take advantage of that because now you're going to have either – who's that punk ass dude up there, Grayson Allen?
Yeah, I hate that guy.
Or Drew Holiday taking your threes. And there's another guy up there that takes a little bit of threes too. I forget.
Colleton? Is that
Colleton,
his name?
yeah, thank you, Colleton, yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, so those three guys are going to have to step up and try and replace what Chris Middleton does on the nightly, which is going to be tough for him. It could be a big blow to him.
Now the Bucks are kind of a team that I know that they did really well last year in the finals against the Suns, but I feel like they're a team that really needs that home court to be going off. You know what I mean? Like you could tell kind of last game 2 also when like they were just sluggish, right? The Bulls came out to that 9-0 run, crowd was out of it, and then I feel like Chris Middleton's that guy that he sparks that offense, right? He gets the crowd going. Him and Bobby Portis, two guys that were both out for the Bucks during that last little stretch there, and I think without Chris Middleton, it's going to be difficult for them if they're struggling to shoot to find somebody that can hit, 2-3 threes in a row that's going to kind of bring you back into that fold of the game.
Right.
Defensively, obviously, Drew Holiday's a monster. Him and Alex Caruso are probably match up really nicely, 1-1. My big thing is I think Colleton is going to have himself a game. I'm not sure if the Bucks are comfortable relying on him to do that. I personally feel like if Giannis doesn't put up 50 points tonight, I don't see how the Bucks pull it out. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, Giannis is going to get his at least 40. He just does. So what's an extra 10 points?
Right. And with the amount of calls he gets.
Let him get his 50 at this point. Let him get his 50 and just let everybody else try and beat you with the 3 ball. I mean, that's the easiest way to do it. So, I mean, if they can limit what everybody else does and just be like, here you go, Giannis. Here you go. But then watch, doing something like that to him, holding that 98 points in a night.
He'll put up like 68 points and then fucking be over. I mean, that's the other thing I kind of wanted to touch on. I'm not one to bitch about refs often. I know there's a lot of fans that do. I do think, though, that some of the officiating in these last couple games has been a little suspect at best. I feel like, especially down the stretch, a lot of the times Giannis gets a lot of these calls that help kind of bring the Bucks back into it. And I think personally that's just the NBA. They like to make the games a little more competitive.
Well, of course, they're going to give the all-star player, the superstar player, the call.
Right.
I mean, how many years have we seen that with LeBron's bitch ass?
Yeah.
I mean,
barely get hit, flopping all over the place.
Exactly. If somebody breathes on him and he says he has an earache, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but my point is this: I'm not one to bitch about it either, unless it's completely terrible. Right.
Right.
My thing is this: if you're going to call it one way, make sure you call it both ways.
Right. And that's the thing.
That's it.
Right. Like they called Patrick Williams for that penalty. What was it, game 2, where Giannis was clearly over the back on him, and they called because Giannis
was a terrible.
It was
call.
awful. And when you do that, man, like the Bulls are a team that get over emotional, and I think that really sways the way that they play. Game 2, though, I think they were able to. Okay, well, we have a comfortable lead. I think a couple of those calls going bad didn't really jolt them, and I think Alex Caruso has been one of the underrated values of this team for this playoff push.
Well, I mean, he was extremely valued before he got hurt, before Grayson Allen busted up his shit. Yeah. But I mean, it took him a minute to come back.
Yeah.
To be Alex Caruso, to be that guy he's good at defense. There was a stat earlier in the year, like when he's on the floor, the Bulls are like top 6 in defensive percentage on the year.
Yeah.
But when he's out of the lineup, they're bottom 6 in the league. When it's crazy when he's on and off the court, like the mass difference between the two. It's a defensive efficiency, and it's. Oh man, I mean, you're right there. I mean, I like Caruso a lot. I just hope that everybody can hone down tonight and pick up that feeling and that juju, that momentum from the United Center, and let's hopefully knock out another game 3 here. That'd be great.
I'm hoping that they don't get overwhelmed. You know, like they have a tendency to kind of, this might be the loudest crowd they've played in front of, most of them in their entire career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Levine came from Minnesota where they weren't good. The Bulls haven't been good.
Vucevic
so he hasn't
came from Orlando, which is not good.
San Antonio was a shell of itself.
DeRozan's been part of some big games.
Yeah, I don't know if San Antonio fans are as wild as Chicago fans.
Well, wasn't DeRozan on the Raptors too?
Was he on there when they won? I think he got traded the year that they won.
Okay.
I think that's when Kawhi came to them. Yeah, because Kawhi was only there for a year.
Right, yeah.
Bogus, right? Came there for a year, won a championship, and then
bounces. Peace, bitches, I'm out.
Yeah, and now the Clippers are just awful.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I hope that
the Clippers are always awful.
That's right. They're always the second team.
Yeah, always and forever will be. Just like the Sox will always be the second team in the city.
That's right, because the Cubs rule. I got a couple more topics, Mike, I want to get into, but we'll be right back. We're going to take a little small break.
I'm undefeated. I came to fight for the love of the game. Unstoppable. That's why I'm undefeated. Off the leash, out of the cage. An animal. That's why I'm undefeated. I know I can beat it. Won't give up, 'cause I believe it. Fight for the love of the game. Unstoppable. That's right. I'm undefeated.
All right, we're back. I do want to give a shout out to Mr. CBD Chicago. Everybody head over there, MrCBDChicago.com. Use promo code TurtlesTake, 10% off. All right, now that we got that all out of the way, you know that I'm a big fan of the parlay bets, right?
Oh yeah, here we go. Ditka scoring a touchdown tonight. Ditka getting a dunk.
Hey man, the itch.
Benny the
because
Bull
of that
dropped
one
15
fucking-
points.
That one time. Well,
Benny
I
the
got
Bull
a
dropped
little
15
same
points.
game parlay.
Yeah.
DeRozan 25 points or more, Giannis 30, Vucevic 25, Zach 25.
Okay.
I don't think it's outrageous.
That's
I
not
think
outrageous. I think you have a good chance of winning that
For
one.
the Bulls to win, I really think Vucevic has to hit that 25-point mark.
Yeah.
Especially
definitely.
because he's been so open at the three-point line. Like it's almost comical how much they leave him wide open at times to just shoot a three and he bricks it.
They could also leave him unguarded and unoccupied underneath the basket, and he still won't come up with a rebound either.
Hey, he's been playing a little bit better, man.
Dude.
He's had 24 points the last 2 games.
He
I think this
drives
is
me nuts, bro.
Yeah, he's so
Nuts.
inconsistent. I think that's what it is. He just doesn't string games like that together. He has, he'll have a game where he puts up 9 points. Watch that be tonight, where he's gonna be like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna shoot 2 threes, make them, and a couple free throws. It'll be awful. I do want to know your thoughts on who the 3 guys that need to step up the most are. Obviously, DeMar DeRozan, we expect him to be the star tonight. I'd like to know your 3 other than him.
My 3 tonight, definitely. I mean, obviously, I would like to see Vooch get a little more physical underneath on both sides of the court, offense and defense. There's a reason he's 7 foot. There's a reason our good Lord and Savior made that man 7 feet, and it's not just to sit there and grab the easy board. Throw some of that body in the way, grab some boards. And I think he's one. I would say the other one I would probably say would be Caruso. I'd like to see Caruso go off for about 15 points tonight. And I could see Patrick Williams having a big game tonight, locking down on defense, getting it done, do what he does. And I'm not counting on Kobe White either. I think Kobe White can have a suspiciously good game tonight as well.
I would like to see Ayo do something nice tonight. Put up, 15 points in front of the home crowd. I think being in Chicago, if he gets going early, I think the crowd will help him feed into a better game than if he's struggling a little bit. So he's one of them. Patrick Williams, I agree. I think he did a solid job defending Giannis in game 2. I kind of like what the Bulls have been doing with guarding him. They seem to bring pressure, and then at times they'll ease off the pressure. I think he does a good job of allowing less guys to have to come down and help. So I'd like to see him and Ayo do something. And again, I think you're right on the head with Caruso. I think he needs to have himself, maybe not points wise.
I don't want him to go nuts. I just want him to play awesome defense like he has been and drop maybe 12 points.
Yeah, like
points
I think what I'd like to see is him be a little more aggressive attacking and dishing. He's
Right.
kind of been giving the ball up a little early at the top of the arc, and I'd like to see him maybe drive and dish a little bit, give Zach those open threes, because I think what right now, yeah, Levine's doing his part, but I think, you know, as a max player is what everybody's talking about, right, for next year. I think you have to look at him and say, this is the playoffs, man. We need you to step up. We got DeMar dropping 40 points, and you're only putting up 25. I think, in all fairness, to ask him to put up 30 points isn't outrageous.
Right. Well, and listen, man, we can go back throughout all the history of every playoff run in every major sport, right? And it's always the little guys that do the right thing consistently that win you games.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Whether it be like somebody like Jeff Blum swinging at strikes in the strike zone. He didn't walk much, but he only swung at strikes in the strike zone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Look at, guys like, again, last year, guys like Chris Middleton, guys like Drew Holiday that came out of nowhere in the NBA Finals last year.
Bobby Portis even had a good
Bobby
finals last year.
Portis, right? Exactly. Right. The guys that do the consistent thing, do the right thing consistently, are tremendous.
Yeah.
When they don't lose their composure and do what they always do, every game in, game out. It's so amazing how big that is to be consistent like that. Consistency is key to being a very good team in today's NBA, MLB, NHL, basketball,
and
football.
I think that's where basketball kind of differentiates from the other sports, right? Like in football, obviously, it's more of a team game. Baseball is the same way, but in the NBA, you have your star, right? But then every time in the playoffs, there's somebody who shines out, right? And when a team wins, it's usually because this guy nobody thought was going to shine out ended up, producing 25, 38 points in a game that, the star was struggling. Look at Ray Allen when LeBron was in Miami. And
Ray Allen was pretty fucking good, though. I mean,
yeah,
Ray
he
Allen,
was.
I mean, that was that big three down there, man, with him, Bosh, and LeBron. It was Ray Allen was huge. The guy on that team that was consistent all the time was probably Udonis Haslem.
Yeah, just defensively, especially.
Just defensively out there, goes out there, get you 4 points.
That guy's still playing.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's like
40.
900 years old, yeah. He's like 900 years old. Again, still goes out there, gets you 4 points and 12 fucking rebounds.
That's right.
This guy's awesome. That's what I need.
I'll ride the bench. And
he's been doing that for 65 years in the Miami Heat. He was
crazy.
doing it before Miami Heat was even an organization.
He's not even like a star player. They're going to retire his jersey just because he spent so much time in Miami.
It's just that thing, dude. The little guys that do the right things consistently make it so big and so much more easier for your main scorers to go off and do their thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Your superstars to go do their thing.
And that's why I think, personally, I'd like to see Caruso handle the ball more coming up. I think that Levine, I don't trust his handles. Right? Like, he gets kind of sloppy at times, turns the ball over at the most inopportune moment. He's got a bad habit of doing this, like, I'm going to jump and then pass the ball, that's like basketball 101. They teach you never to do.
Right.
Just jump with the ball and then look for a pass. I'd like to see the ball out of his hands in terms of, like, facilitating the offense. I'm cool with him shooting. I got no problem with that. But
and that's one thing I've noticed too, and I want to ask your opinion on this too, because it's one thing that I've noticed over the last couple of games with Zach LaVine. He hasn't been like when he does take the ball up court, right? He almost gets shot happy and shoots the ball with a bad look at times.
Yep.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, game one especially, it seemed like he was forcing some shots. Especially at the end of game one, right? Where they were only down by 3 or 4 points. And he came down and there was like 18 or so seconds left and then just like shot up a half court three and it completely airballed. I feel that 100%. It's his first time in the playoffs.
I just questioned some of his looks at times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm not the biggest basketball guy, man. I could talk Bulls and I could talk playoffs with like the teams that I watch, like the Bucks, the Bulls. I like the Sixers team for some reason. I think they're really fucking good. Like, yeah, I mean, it's for me to say that I kind of seem like a little out of my realm, but it just kind of looks it like it on TV. It looks an uncomfortable, forced look shot. You know?
Yeah, he looks like he's rushing every time
Right.
he has the ball, and maybe that's just his nerves kind of getting to him. This is the first time he's been in the playoffs, you know, and I've never been in that scenario, that atmosphere at all, even close to it, you know. So I don't know
Big rain.
the pressure that you're feeling in that spot, but
Right.
I do feel like that's why I want Caruso to handle the ball more. Zach seems to do better when he's able to, you know, sit out at that corner 3 spot, let the offense move, dish to him, he hits the 3.
Or
That's
even
what I
Io.
think.
I mean, Io pretty much handles the ball too. But I mean,
Yep.
Io's. I mean, I love that kid's ability, man.
He's a rookie, right? Or is this his second year?
Io's a rookie this year.
Yeah, I thought so. And,
Because he was on the Illinois team last
yep,
year. Yeah,
you're right. Yep. And
he's unbelievable, dude.
he is. He has
So you know how you and I always do that thing too. Like we always talk comps for players. You know what I mean?
Yep.
My comp for Io is Jimmy Butler.
That's not a bad one.
think
I
that's
want
a
to see how he
beautiful comp.
develops the next few years.
I mean, he may not be as good defensively.
That's true. But
All right, he may
Butler
not-
wasn't that good defensively.
Not
Until,
until
like,
like his
year
second
3.
season.
Right,
yeah,
2 or
late
3,
in his
and
second
then-
season. Yeah,
He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna lock down LeBron James in the playoffs," and
right.
that was that. So,
Dude.
God, man, I always
I
think
hope
about
they win tonight, man. I know that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be watching the Bulls and flipping back and forth for the Cubs to be rained out, probably.
yeah. I mean, and the Cubs, like, that's a topic that I wanted to talk about, but they're
got
just
time,
not-
dude.
They're just not.
I got time. You
entertaining,
wanna talk?
You know, I feel like, yeah, you start the marquee network in the middle of a situation where your team is awful.
Yeah,
All your star players are gone,
and then you
and-
charge for it.
right, and you're charging for us to
Like
watch
a bunch of dickheads. Right.
a below average at best team. I don't think they have enough power in their lineup to hit home runs. Like, they struggle. Like, that's the thing about the Cubs in the last couple of years before this, was like they couldn't get on base, but they can hit home runs.
Right.
So you'd be losing a game 5-3, and then Rizzo would come up and belt a 2-run shot to tie the game, and
Right.
you don't have that right now.
But they are. I like this Cub team, dude. I think they're going to suck. I mean, come on, let's get real here. They're going to be a below 500 team. But
Probably.
they're playing better now through the first 11 games than they did last year through their first 11 games. And you had everybody healthy last year.
Right.
Bryant, Rizzo, Contreras. Who's the other shithead that I'm forgetting? Schwarber.
Schwarber.
Or no, we didn't have Schwarber.
Nope,
we didn't have
no, it
Schwarber. Who the hell?
Bryant,
Who
Rizzo, Contreras, Baez.
Baez, Rizzo, Contreras.
Wait, Rizzo? Wait,
Baez, Rizzo, Contreras. Who am I missing?
Bryant.
There we go,
Bryant,
Bryant. So you had all four of those
MVP.
guys. Yeah. But they're seeing more pitches, man. They're making pitchers work more, which is nice. And it's cool because I said all year last year why I loved the hire of Tony La Russa. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in Chicago that liked the Tony
you
La
might
Russa.
be, or might have been.
All right.
Yeah,
But look how many more pitches they've seen than years past. They weren't just relying on the long ball. Yeah, they have guys that hit the long ball, but you still got there with Eloy being out the entire year almost.
yeah. The
All right,
fish,
Luis
the
Robert
fishing
went on
net
the shelf.
accident.
Luis Robert went on the shelf for a while last year. You
He's
know
on
what
the
I
shelf
mean?
again, isn't he hurt right now?
Yep, exactly. He pulled a hammy or groin, so a labia muscle. So he did one of those again.
The Sox team, man. I feel bad for him. I mean, I'm not a Sox fan, obviously, but I feel bad for the fans. Like, you finally get this team, and everybody's fucking hurt all the
Again,
time.
dude.
All the time.
Again,
Just like
Lance
last year.
Lynn. Lance Lynn, somebody that big, he needs like iron knees. He needs like cast iron knees. Big people, I mean, this is what happens. I'm a big guy. You're a big guy.
Yeah.
My knees hurt every day.
Every day.
You know what I mean? Every day.
Every day.
All right,
Yeah.
and then okay. Now I know he's coming back, but Giolito goes down with a side strain. All right, which could have been really terrible with an oblique. All right, but then he also comes into camp 25 pounds heavier than he comes into this year 25 pounds heavier.
Yeah, and he had a
last-
solid year last year.
He had a great year
Right,
last
and
year.
then you're going to change your physique, which is going to mess up your mechanics, which is, I don't know. It was.
I mean, I don't know if and it's muscle. It's muscle. I mean, he looks
Right.
good. He doesn't look like my fat ass out there on
Right.
the mound. He looks good. But when you do that, your body's going to get off a little
Right.
bit. You know what I
It's
mean?
going
Like
to
you just
need
said, your
time
mechanic-
to adjust to having that
right.
weight.
And then fucking Garrett Crochet getting the UCL Tommy John, and then AJ Pollock, but that guy's always fucking hurt. And then, the list goes
Michael
on.
can't
Let's
strike
Keuchel.
anybody out.
Fuck, dude. I was at the bar the other day watching that first Indians game, and I'm lucky enough to own Jose Ramirez on my fantasy team. And he had come up with the bases loaded. Now I'm at a Sox bar. I'm like, I would love to see this guy hit a grand slam right now. And everybody looked at me like, huh? I'm like, all right, I lied. Just a bases clearing double. You know what I mean? And then sure shit, next pitch, he hits one fucking boom right over the left field wall. I was like, yeah, getting all the points, baby.
I don't know, man. Chicago sports are frustrating. Obviously, you're a fan of all the teams as well. And like the Cubs, I just don't have any not desire to watch because I love baseball. It's one of probably my second favorite sport to watch. But I just don't feel like it's worth my investment to watch a team that isn't going to be able to compete. I'll watch the game here and there, but like I live in Wisconsin. So for me to watch the games, I have to get the MLB package,
Right.
and it's not worth my $80.
Well, yeah, that's a little
for
different.
that,
It's not worth your investment in time to watch a below 500 team.
Right.
But me being here in Chicago, Angelo, there is some really cool stuff going on with this Cubs team right now. This Seiya Suzuki looks really great. I think he looks fantastic. I like so much what I've seen out of Justin Steele so far. Even though he got bopped around a little bit the other night,
he had a pretty good outing the first outing for sure.
His first two outings were solid, and then his third one here, he got bopped around like a fucking bass drum. And then you got other guys that are coming up through the system still. Like you're gonna see Brennan Davis this year. You're gonna see guys like Keegan Thompson. He's already up. He's been lights out for the Cubs.
Yep.
There are things to watch on this team. Like everybody's lovable loser first baseman Frank the Tank Schwindel. Everybody loves this guy.
The Schwindy
35-year-old rookie. He's fantastic. Yeah, whoop-de-doo. But he hits a little bit.
Yeah.
You got Nicky Two Strikes. He's all right. He's having a decent year so far this year a little bit. Hopefully Nico Horner can turn it around. He's slowly starting to become like Ian Happ for me.
Yeah.
One of my
Those two
least
guys
favorite
were
players.
supposed to be the next wave of talent, and it's not looking good for Happ at least.
Well, Ian Happ, the first 6 games of the year, he had the highest batting average in baseball.
Yeah, and then it just
And since 2019 or something like that, he has the third highest OBPS in all of baseball, which blows my mind.
It's crazy.
Because I have never seen that guy make a productive out.
Right. It's I don't know. I just when I think of building blocks, Ian Happ is not part of my.
And he was supposed to be.
Right.
That's the kicker in nuts.
Right. All those guys were. Those. Rizzo, Bryant, Baez.
Right.
Those guys were all supposed to be the team right now, and they just weren't producing.
Right.
It's weird when I watch the Yankees on TV because they're on ESPN all the time, and I see
every fucking night. Yeah.
Yeah, I see Rizzo come up to bat in a Yankees uniform, and it's just like, Jesus, it's weird to see him like that.
It looks good, though. It looks good on him.
It does.
I
He
look for
fits
that.
the Yankee mold very well.
I hate the Yankees. I hate every New York sports team with a passion of 1,000 suns. But
Yep, especially the Jets. I remember that
fucking goddamn Jets. I hate the fucking Jets so much.
all the time.
I hope Zach Wilson gets hit by a car.
I wouldn't
I
say
truly do.
car, but
All right,
a
yeah, garbage
linebacker
truck.
would definitely.
Garbage truck would be better.
Well, that'd be too familiar for him.
Right. Yeah,
Yes,
because
he's
exactly.
kind of trash. Oh,
He
but
is. He is hot dog shit.
How about the Bears? I mean, we touched on the Cubs and Bulls. Might as well throw some Bears into it.
Bears are going to be interesting, man. I think that this Ryan Poles has it right, though. I really do. Me looking at it as on the outside, obviously me covering this team every single week of the NFL season, watching, not missing a game of this team every single week of the NFL season. I think he's doing what I've been saying the Bears should be doing for the last 3-4 years. Suck.
Yeah.
Just go out there and suck. Get a better pick.
2016 was the worst thing that could have happened to this franchise.
Yes.
As much as it was
2018,
cool and it was
2018,
yeah, sorry, yeah. It was cool for the run, but it was the worst thing that happened to this franchise.
Right.
It set them back a good 6 years because
Well,
of it.
it's now 2021.
Yep.
We're
So
going, or I'm sorry, it's 2022. So that's 4 years ago
4
already.
Yep. And they're not going to be competitive this year.
Right. So I mean, what do you do? So
Right.
I think they got it on the right track. I think he understands. Hey, get as many talent as maybe you can find a diamond in the rough offensive lineman. From what you've picked up so far, losing Allen Robinson is going to hurt. Losing Khalil Mack, I mean, I'm okay with that. You're okay. Why keep on to a guy paying him that much money?
Right.
If with him you're going to be 7-10, without him you're going to be 5-12.
Right. I mean, you're not
Like-
going to be. It's not like he was making us, an 11-win team. He's
Right.
just,
He's not scoring touchdowns. He's not scoring points for us.
and he
you
hasn't
know?
been able to stay healthy.
Right.
He plays
So-
with nagging injuries. Yeah, he'll play, but a 40% Khalil Mack does nothing for your team.
Right, exactly. You said 40% off of Khalil Mack does nothing for your team.
Right.
It's I don't know. I'm glad Akeem Hicks is out. I'm glad Eddie Goldman fucking finally. I've been bitching about
Yeah.
that guy for years. I'm glad he's
years.
finally gone. Now I think Eddie Jackson is the next one to fall. I would get rid of him immediately because he's pretty much the parking cone out there. I mean, he doesn't do anything. If a guy trips on him, it's a fucking win.
Yeah.
You know?
Guy- He goes for the tackle. The guy just like stumbles over.
Yeah,
and that's how he
steps on his
tackles
own
people.
foot, steps
Yeah.
on the towel hanging from his jock, and he falls over. Like that's a win for Eddie Jackson. But I mean, I'm glad that they're doing what they're doing. I'm gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch them. It's gonna be fun to see Justin Fields as the full-time quarterback this year,
Right.
and it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, sorry, I got a dog barking in the
That's
background.
all right.
Shut up.
I agree.
It's in like last year we weren't able to give Justin Fields a full we weren't able to give him a full grade on the year because one,
Right.
he didn't play much. He got injured and that hurts. Obviously that hurts. It's not fun. So you can't really give the guy a full draft grade last year on his rookie season. So this year he has to come out and be prepared.
Yep.
He's seen I don't know how many games last year, 8 games. All right, now
Yeah,
he
I
has to
think so,
come in
yeah.
here prepared and do his job. So hopefully he's down there in Florida with Darnell Mooney and these other wide receivers and understands how fast the game is now.
Yeah.
You know,
I
he
remember
said
that.
last- last year he's like, "Oh yeah, I thought it'd be faster."
And
Dude,
then he
it's
got
fucking
rocked in
preseason,
Cleveland.
dude. I was at that game.
Oh,
And
yeah, I
so
remember
wanted
that,
to
yep.
blow my fucking brains out at that game.
I bet that was
It
probably
was terrible. Not
Oh.
only was I extremely hungover, all right, to go to that game. Like it took me like a solid 6 hours of drinking just to get ready for that game.
Yeah.
Like we tailgated and everything. I was like, oh god.
I can't believe there were some people who were like, yeah, the Bears got a chance. Like, they went out there and Justin Fields got annihilated.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's still DNA of Justin
Yeah.
Fields still spread across over that
It was
field.
rough.
That was a very rough game. But now you gotta see what you got out of him. You know,
I think
granted,
the
lack of
Nagy
talent-
effect is going to be once they wash that stink off of Matt Nagy, because clearly that was the issue, man. Like,
Right.
I'm not saying that was the sole issue, but when you have a head coach who's not going to put you in a situation to win or to help you be the best you can be, you're already up against the odds. Then you go out and play another team. Like, I would love to see them focus more on running the ball, letting some of the pressure off of Fields, because let's be honest, as of right now, the wide receiver room is Darnell Mooney, and that's it, right? And
Well, you got Zach
Allen
Pringle.
Robinson wasn't great last year. I know that there was rumors that he had checked out. I could see a scenario for the draft where the Bears kind of use whatever they can to move up and get Chris Olave. I just feel like that's the way that you see Joe Burrow. I just feel like that's the way the NFL is going. You see the connection between a QB and a wide receiver is so important, and the Bears need somebody that's going to be somebody that Fields can rely on. And I think that where are they projecting him going? Top 15? Top 15?
Olave, I don't know. I thought he was later in the rounds. I know the guy that I'm really big on is that kid out of Arkansas, that Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
I'm huge on that kid. I've seen different multiple before, and I think this kid is DK 2.0. I mean, I don't know if you've done any research on this kid, man.
If I'm being honest, college football, that is not my
Right,
not
but
my
I mean,
forte.
do yourself a favor and look up some highlights of this kid. His name is Treylon Burks, and he is a monster. Literally, not joking when I say this at all. He literally hunts boars like John Rambo.
Nice.
with a fucking knife, dude. He just hunts wild boars with a knife. And the
That's
kid
insane.
he's like 6'2", 225, super fast, great route runner, great speed, and he's big. He's big, dude. I mean, look at some of his stuff because he is fucking unreal. But I've seen reports where it's like every time I see it, it's like him going to Green Bay. It's like, no, now we got to deal with him for another 10 years. It's like shit.
And that's the thing about like this scenario, right? Everyone was like, "Oh, get Rodgers out and the Bears will have a chance." Nah, even with Rodgers out, I don't think this team is in a position to win now. And I think that's the
Right.
problem, right? As a fan, like I said, 2018 screwed everything up. The last thing I want to see is this Bears team accidentally fall into the playoffs because there's that extra spot.
Yes.
And then everybody be like, "Oh, the Bears are they're here. They're way ahead of schedule." Like, no, take the slow approach. I'd rather suck for this year, use
Next
better
year.
draft pick, right, and use
Right.
next year as a way to like, okay, let's shoot for the playoffs next year, then build from that year up. I think they're doing it right, like you said. They're cutting the older guys. That's what you have to do at this point.
You're gonna stay young.
I don't like many of the offensive linemen. I like the kid that they got out of Green Bay. What was his last name? Patrick? Lucas Patrick or something like
Lucas
that.
Patrick or something like that. Yeah.
I think he'll be a solid piece to the line.
Hopefully,
There's
Tevin
so
Jenkins
many
can
goals.
play a full season and learn a little bit too. Hopefully, Larry Borum can stay healthy. These are all question markers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a big thing, man. But and I'm glad you touched on the stench of Matt Nagy, because even still without Matt Nagy here, excuse me, I'm so sorry. He fucks us again for at least one more year.
Yeah.
And it's going to fuck us, all right? It's going to fuck the Chicago Bears all the way until it's time where you got to make that decision on Justin Fields.
Yep.
All right. So this is what I mean by that. For the people that aren't listening, and for the people that are listening, this is what I mean about that, Angelo, is okay. Last year you didn't play him. You couldn't get a good grade on him. You couldn't judge what he was because you didn't see enough of him, right?
Right.
So technically this year is his rookie year in year two. I mean, playing time wise.
Right. Playing
All right,
time wise.
playing time wise and experience wise, this is going to be his main bulk of action. You know what I mean? So now you give him a grade this year, and then next year you're already into year 3, and
then the next year you got to figure out if you want to
keep
pick
him or
up the
not.
option. Right.
Right. So it's like, okay, so that stench is all over Matt Nagy, and you have to. Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus are in this position right now where they have to figure this out, and they have to figure it out fast.
Yeah.
All right, so they need. I think Ryan Poles knows that you need to go out there and just fucking suck this year, man.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's not going out after big names.
No.
There are.
no,
I
definitely
would
not.
love to see Deebo Samuel in a Bear uniform, but it's not going to happen.
So would I. Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want it this year. I definitely don't want it this year. You know what I mean? It's not worth taking on that guy or paying that guy that money for a year just to be completely
Or give up
utterly
draft
useless.
capital for a guy like we did with Khalil Mack.
Right.
How did that work for the Bears? It didn't.
Exactly. It didn't. I mean, it worked good for in 2018. It was fine, but he
Right.
hasn't been healthy since.
Right.
But the Bears have to figure that out, man. And I think they're on the right track because, like you said, you don't want to see this team luck into 10 wins. And with the schedule the way it is, I could totally fucking see it happen on accident.
Yeah. Now, if they
You know what I mean?
they go out there and they're playing well and they get 10 wins, by all means, awesome. But I don't want it to be like, oh, Justin Fields was 6 for 37 with 4 interceptions, and they,
Yeah, you want to
pick
see
six
progression
was-
each week. Yeah.
Right. You want to see the team build to something instead of just being like last year was just a stagnant shit show. It was just
It was brackish.
flatlined. Yeah, it was
Just
terrible.
brackish. All year last year was just brackish water is what it was. It was sewage water.
Yep. And then
You
you're
know-
watching the game and you're like, oh, this is awful. This is
Right.
the worst 3 hours of my entire day.
Yeah. I mean, and that's honestly, not only because, over here at 12 to 2, I do all the football shit. I break down the football every week and stuff like that.
Yep.
But it's also one of those things, man. It's like, I'm so glad that I have the NFL package where I can turn off the fucking Bears.
Yeah.
Honestly, it got that bad last year where it was like, I don't give a shit to watch. I'll watch the Bears if I have a fantasy guy going.
Yeah.
And even
And
then
who
it's hard
picks
to
up a
watch.
fantasy Bears player?
No, I'm saying on the other team.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's
yeah. Yeah.
All
Like
right,
you got a guy playing against the
right,
Bears,
right. I got Kareem Hunt this week. Hopefully he gets 2 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
I think I picked up Darnell Mooney last year, hoping was a waste. It was just awful.
He still
It
had
was
a
an
nice
awful
year though,
season
man. He still had
overall.
1,000 yards.
He did, but
First 1,000-yard season by a drafted wide receiver by a drafted Chicago Bears wide receiver since Alshon Jeffries.
I mean, man, remember that team? Jeffries and Marshall and Martellus Bennett.
Yeah.
The first year of Tressman when they were just like throwing the ball everywhere and Cutler
Yep.
was just on fire. And then it was just complete downhill after that.
Yeah, it's just all
God.
in sad.
Yeah, they were so good that year. I think they were the number 2 scoring offense in the NFL that year.
They
Right
could've- I
behind
don't know, they could've
Denver
been.
and Peyton Manning, I'm pretty sure.
They could have
But
been. That was a good team.
It was. Except the defense was awful. That was the last year of Urlacher, I'm pretty sure. And the double 50 burgers was
Yep.
Oh, that
Green
was-
Bay and who was it? Green Bay and
New
New
England. Yeah, that was a rough defense to watch. People
Yeah,
all
it was.
pissed off at Cutler. Dude puts up 42 points.
35
They lose.
points.
They lose by 72. Like, it's not our fault.
I don't think
You
the Bears
know.
have put up 35 points since then.
Probably not. If you go back and look, I bet you that's the highest point totals they've had in the recent years.
Yeah, they're just so bad, dude.
That's why I'm hoping that the Bulls can have some magic here. You know?
Yeah,
Now
right.
with Chris
We're
Middleton.
gonna bring
out.
down the show by talking about the Bears. You know?
I feel like that's what we do every time we would talk about.
Way
the
to end it
Bulls.
with a suicide note. You know
Yeah,
what I
it
mean?
would just be
Jesus Christ.
terrible Bears talk, and then we'd be pissed off.
But you know, like I said though, man, the Bulls, like you said, the Bulls are on tonight. Let's try and live in the moment here. The
Yeah.
Bulls are on. It's going to be a good show. Good show. It's going to be it's going to be
game.
a great game. You know, hopefully they come out there hot again tonight and can put up some points against a tough team.
And
The
let's
Bucks are
be
a tough
honest,
team.
man. Like this Bulls team has played above expectations all year, right? Like,
Yeah.
people weren't expecting this to be the year that they made the play. Well, like
No.
we wanted to make the playoffs, right? But the way that they played this year, you know, with DeMar DeRozan in February, with being outrageous,
Oh, he was unbelievable.
I don't think anybody saw this team being a legit competitor or contender. And no, I'm not saying that they are when they're playing the Bucks. Middleton being out definitely improves their chances. I still think the Bucks are going to pull this series out,
Right.
but you took that next step, right? You built
Right.
some guys, you got some good guys in the draft, and now you're in the playoffs competing against the defending champs, right? And
Right.
they took some of the best hits the Bucks had to offer and won that game. Yes, on Wednesday.
Right.
So
I
we'll see.
wholeheartedly agree with you, man. I
I
wholeheartedly
think
agree.
tonight's a big night. If they're able to pull it out, man, I think anything's possible at that point. I'm not saying they're going to, but it'd be nice for them too.
I think
sure
they can
in
do it, man. If they come
An
out
hour
hot
and a
tonight,
half, I'll be pissed off on my couch, but hey, let's
big
hope
time
not.
energy from the fans. Let's get it going, and hopefully the Bulls pull out a big dub tonight.
Hell yeah, man. Well, Mike, I appreciate you jumping on with me, man.
Yeah,
And,
man. Thanks for having me. I
You
appreciate
want
it.
to let
Thank you
everybody
so
know
much.
what you guys are up to?
Yeah, you could just find us over at 12-2 Sports. Same thing. We're still talking Chicago sports every day almost. We got Fred Hubner, myself. We got Harry the Greek, and shows are just keep on coming. Jacob Charno on Sunday mornings. Everything's going real smooth. So yeah, we're going good, man. We're going strong.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I appreciate
Trying
you
to,
jumping on.
Yeah,
And,
thank you for having me again.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right, brother. Thanks.
All right, guys, that was Fat Mike, my old partner in crime. Lot of Bulls talk, obviously. Game 3 tonight. Let's make sure we got the mojo going right. Bulls game starts at 7:30. I predict the Bulls win this game. I'll say by 7. Nice, comfortable lead. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for everybody in the chat, and see you next week.